The following program does not have a normal intro because I was really too busy smoothing other things over to get it done. So, Ori? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fani program. I'm your host, Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. What a phenomenal time to be alive. What a phenomenal time to be alive. It really is. We've faced some really rough periods. Rough periods. Just terrible. Just like, really? Oh God, really? Really? Another charge? Really? This one's not gonna really? We've had a rough go of it. I'm not gonna kid you. Rough go of it. But today was arguably just victory after victory after victory in ways we haven't seen in ages. Oh my God. 9-0 victory from the Supreme Court. Fani Willis getting hailed before the Georgia Senate and before the Ethics Committee. 2 different investigations. That's right. This year, there's 2. It's awesome time to be alive. And I'm here to savor every moment of it. Drink those liberal tears and just enjoy the smacking out of it. Just salivate, just savor every last drop. And I'm going to tell you something, okay? I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a little insight into me. When it comes to like being confrontational, I don't like to be unnecessarily confrontational. That's part of the maturity I had, because when I was a teenager, I was confrontational, sometimes just for the sake of being confrontational. As I got older and matured, perhaps as my reflexes slowed, I don't know. I just was like, I don't need to have like everyone hating me all the time by being that guy. So I stopped being that guy. But I'm saying that at the same time, we all go back to our youth and just, happy moments from our youth. That's natural. It's normal. That's the way you're raised a certain way. You're always going to end up finding yourself back there on one level or another. You can take the boy out of New York. You can't take New York out of the boy. I mean, come on. That's just the way it is. So, yeah, a little mellower. I'm going to tell you that. Okay, 1996. A lot of you are too young to remember this. Even if you were alive in 1996, unless you were a Braves fan or a Yankee fan, you would not remember this, okay? Or a big baseball fan. 1996 in the World Series, the Yankees lost the first 2 games of the World Series. At home. Lost the first 2 games of the series. They hadn't won a World Series since 1978. First 2 games. At home, they lose. They're going against Maddox, one of the greatest pitchers in the history of the game, Smoltz and Glavine. 2 more of a dominant trifecta, and they're down 0-2. And they head to Atlanta, and they win Game 3, they win Game 4, they win Game 5. Finally, Game 6, they beat Maddox. It was Geschmack. That's what my people would say, Geschmack. And while I enjoyed a little bit reading the local hometown papers, I went online. Back then, the internet was not quite as developed as it is today. I went online, and there was this website where I was able to pull up newspapers from across the country, and I sat there reading articles from the Atlanta Journal-Constitutional after they won Game 6. And I went back a week to the news and stories they were reporting after Game 2. And this is what I was reading, like the opening paragraphs the way they were talking after Game 2. And they'd be sitting there talking about the Braves in such glowing terms. The Braves had won in 1995. And they were like, and the opening paragraph after Game 2, and one article I remember reading was that the Braves will win this series is inevitable. The question is how we start looking at this as a team of as a dynastic team of destiny, and how we view them compared to the other greatest teams of all time. Those were the headlines. And I sat there and I would laugh and laugh and laugh. I loved it. First time in 18 years my team is actually winning the World Series. I'm just reading them glowing effusive about the troika that they had there in their starting rotation, how dominant the Braves were after game 2. And to me, that was way more enjoyable than even reading the New York Post, Daily News, New York Times, Newsday. We had Newsday back in those days. It was better. It was better. Just tasting those, because I was like, that guy must be crying today. He must be crying. He must be crying. Oh my God, that must be so terrible. That must be so terrible. So, with that in mind, my agenda this evening is as follows. I am going to start by presenting to you news of SCOTUS as presented by MSNBC so that we can appreciate their perspective as to the insight and wisdom of SCOTUS. Just a couple of clips that we're going to watch together so we can appreciate how they're taking the news, how they feel about the Supreme Court of the United States. I think that would be that's a good way to go. And then after that I'm going to go into the Senate hearing, and I'm also going to go into new evidence that's being proposed by Trump co-defendant Schaefer, which many people think could decimate Fani Willis if the court is willing to accept it on the record, which is a very big question. I'm going to go through it. It's not a very long filing. It's only 4 pages, so it's not boring. It's actually just nuggets of information. And I'm going to break it down for you, because I think in certain ways it can be a very good thing, and in other ways I sort of feel as if it's a little overhyped. It's a little overhyped. I'm going to show you how. Because I don't like giving false aspirations, and I sort of feel as if I've watched Judge McAfee enough to get a feel for how he is likely to read it, with the discerning eye that he has when he's assessing evidence based on what he has revealed during the evidentiary hearing. So that's the progression that I plan on going tonight. If you're here exclusively for the Fani Willis stuff, it's probably going to be like 45 minutes that I'm going to be talking about the Trump stuff. So that's my estimation. It's hard for me to estimate time, but that's basically my estimation of time on it. But so that's the agenda here. So without further ado, well, with only mildly further ado, mildly further ado, I'm going to start off by pulling out here Bella Stella hitting me up, not just with this, saying Erev Tov, oh great leader. Do you speak Hebrew? Because that was really good. That was really good Hebrew right there. Erev Tov, which means good evening. I'm not a great leader, but the rest of that was spot on. And I also want to that's the first acknowledgement that I want to give to Bella Stella, but I also need to acknowledge her for hitting up 10 memberships in Bella Stella. 10 memberships, and the following people should offer their appreciation to Bella Stella. Gifting Just Joy, True Liberty, Richard Harris, Stevie Ota, Molan Labe, Susan Winscheitel. That's how I'm going to read it. Netcat Media, Amyana List, Wrestler Town. You got gifted by Bella Stella. Good for you. Amazing Disgrace. And then in addition, another five good Lawgic memberships from Paddock S.A. God bless you, Paddock. You the man or the woman. I'm not sure, but I don't want to assume your gender. I got a feeling it's man. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with man. So I'm going to say you the man. And even if you're a woman, I'm going to say you the man. All right? I don't care. In this context, that works. Gifting, No Jabski, Purple AJ, Dissident Porcupine, Cobes, and Will in Nilly. If you were one of the 15 people that I just listed off here, you are now a member of the following: That's right. Members who join here are followers. And you might say to yourself, if I'm a follower, there must be a leader. No. Sadly mistaken. Very, very, very much mistaken. No, I am not the leader of the following. I'm a follower, just like you. Following, because the following is not at all a cult type of cult. So that's why there's no leader here, because it's not at all a cult type of cult. No spaceships, no Kool-Aid, no self-harm, no harming others, no stabbing yourself with the jabby jab, no squirrel mutilations, no goat sacrifices, no throwing virgins into volcanoes. It's really not at all. No throwing blood on the walls and writing red rum, red rum, red rum. At least that part's not mandatory. No mandatory tracksuits. No golden sneakers. Not at all a cult. Type of cult. Okay, you can get golden sneakers if you want. Thanks to you, my leader, I watched the Chewbacca defense and will always use it against every argument because it makes no sense. It's true. It makes no sense. I didn't write it. That was South Park, but it was really good. It was really good. All right. Let's hear from Nicole Wallace. I'm guessing that's her name. I think someone was welcoming her in an episode that I was watching recently. Let's hear her break down the Supreme Court's ruling 9-0. 9-0. Shut out. 9-0.
The disgraced ex-president was supposed to go on trial in a federal courthouse.
Yes, he was. He was supposed to go on trial today. That didn't happen. I know the volume's low. I'm going to turn it up. Don't worry.
For his efforts to end democracy as we know it, that little January 6th insurrection.
It's the end of democracy as we know it. His efforts to end democracy as we know it for all time. Eradicated from the planet like Thanos snapping democracy. And fortunately, we had Marvel coming in here, and we had Iron Man and Superman, and they came in there and they were just like wrestling those rings off of Trump's fingers before he can snap his fingers and end democracy as we know it. Nancy Pelosi there is, I don't know, Wonder Woman. I don't think that's the right one. That's not the right one, is it? She wasn't in that, was she? I get all this stuff confused.
The highest court in the land today kept him on the ballot in a ruling that dodges the facts of January 6th and Trump's role in it. But instead, the Supreme Court handed...
It's a little too fast. I know I tried 1.25, but it's a little too fast. I know some of you are going to be complaining, and I don't like having people be upset. It's just not me trying with emotion. I'm not even trying. Forget that. Look at her eyes. Those dead eyes.
Trump a second gift in as many weeks on a constitutional technicality. In an unsigned opinion, the justices say
as in, yeah, that's not what the statute says. The statute says it's going to be Congress who's going to be doing it, not some judge in Colorado. One of those teensy weensy little technicalities. Oh, sweet. All right. Quick check, double check. All right. You and Aaron Rodgers.
That states do not have the power to bar candidates from running for federal office. They say this, quote, because the Constitution makes Congress rather than the states responsible for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates, we reverse.
Meaning they never had jurisdiction. That's not a technicality, like you failed to check off a box. It's that you never should have entertained this in the first place. That's what it is. It's one of those technicalities. One of those technicalities. All right. You want to call that a technicality? You can, I guess, call that a technicality. I mean, if you want to call it technicality. All right. But don't worry. She's not alone here. She's going to bring in a whole panel of people to sit here crying.
They're referring to the decision by the Colorado State Supreme Court. Now, that court found that Trump did engage in insurrection by trying to overturn the will of the voters by any means possible, including violence, and that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment does, in fact, apply to the presidency.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to be going through the decision tonight. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow during the day. That's my plan. Is I'm going to be doing tomorrow during the day on a new platform. And I will send links for that on goodlogic.locals.com. It's not going to be on YouTube. It's not going to be on X. It's not going to be on Rumble. It's only going to be on this new platform, which I'm waiting for the counter signature. I already signed off on the agreement. I'm waiting for the counter signature back. I'm expecting to have it in the morning. But I do plan on going through this 9-0 decision in detail tomorrow. That's going to be on this new platform. Not here, not where you're watching now, but you'll get links for it. Links will be available. goodlogic.locals.com. So there you go. Just Supreme Court dodges the facts. Yeah, dodges love our cult. We're not a cult. They're a cult. We're not a cult. Dodges the facts. Dodging them. Oh, no fact. Oh, no fact. Whoa. Doing the whole Neo thing. Dodging those bullet facts.
Now, the Supreme Court's decision today does not touch on either the question of whether Trump is or is not an insurrectionist or whether the text of Section 3 applies to him.
It doesn't, which is actually something that they really should have just remedied that. They should have just said that. That's what they should have said. That would have been easier.
Instead, it says that only Congress has the power to do anything or to enforce the 14th Amendment. And as Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold points out in her reaction to today's ruling, quote, if we had a functioning Congress, we would not be in the situation.
No. They stopped reading the 14th Amendment at Section 4 because Section 5 says only Congress. Only Congress. Thank you, Mama, for you too, kind. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Very kind. All right, Tracy W. You're gone forever. There you go. Don't come back. I'll just ban more of your accounts. I'm going to ban more of your accounts. Okay? I don't like that. Don't go spamming in Rumble. That's not cool. It's not cool. Jump in a lake. California U.S. Senator race Garvey, Republican 27 versus Schiff 25. Yeah. I don't know how much of a chance Garvey has there. I'm not going to kid you. The war chest that Schiff has amassed is ridiculous. And even though he's the most classic corrupt politician. Look, who knows?
Situation we're in today.
Oh, we're gonna get to hear. We're gonna get to hear from this Sherlock here, Jena Griswold.
With American democracy. In a separate opinion, the 3 liberal justices blasted the majority on the Supreme Court for closing the door on the possibility of federal courts disqualifying Trump or any other candidate.
Because it says Congress. Congress is gonna take care of this, right? That's what it says. Congress. Statutes. The 2 statutes. What's a ute? Statutes. That's right. Congress. They can write a statute which will give power to the federal courts or whoever they want to give power to. Congressio.
Who would engage in an insurrection. Writing this, quote, Section 3 serves an important, though rarely needed, role in our democracy. The American people have the power to vote for and elect candidates for national office. And that is a great and a glorious thing.
It's a great thing. It's a glorious thing.
The men who drafted and ratified the 14th Amendment, however, had witnessed an insurrection and rebellion to defend slavery. They wanted to ensure that those who had participated in the insurrection and in possible future insurrections could not return to prominent roles. Today, the majority goes beyond the necessities of this case to limit how Section 3 can bar an oath-breaking insurrectionist from becoming the president.
And I will tell you this. Tomorrow, when I'm going through this, I am going to chastise one justice in particular. One of these 3 liberal justices who she really, really, really engaged in terrible doublespeak. Really gross doublespeak. Partisanship doublespeak. I'm going to call her out. That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. That's not going to be on Locals. I'm going to notify you on Locals. It's not going to be on YouTube or Rumble. That's on my new platform. Assuming that happens, which I think is going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I don't know. It's possible. That's possible. Maybe some of them do. Joe's debut as a flagship show on AD. Look, we all got to get a start somewhere, right? We all got to get a start somewhere.
Although we agree that Colorado cannot enforce Section 3, we protest the majority's effort to use this case to define the limits of federal enforcement of that provision.
Why not? Why are you protesting that? Why would you be protesting that? It's such a weird take. And they love citing Dobbs. They love citing Dobbs in opposition. It's like you don't believe in Dobbs, but you're going to cite Dobbs because they hate Dobbs so much that they're trying to show, here's your hypocrisy. Oh, here's the hypocrisy that you wrote this in Dobbs and now you're ignoring Dobbs, which they ain't. As I'll explain when I do my breakdown tomorrow. When I do my breakdown of the logic of the courts, you will see the complete illogic of the consensus liberal justices and the stupidity from the fact as to how they break away from the majority here. I'm also going to assess what Amy Coney Barrett wrote because I found that to be freaking hilarious. I found her to be hilarious. I think she's a joke, but I thought she was hilarious. When was Trump ever found guilty of insurrection in a court of law? He hasn't been. I'll go you one better. When was anybody found guilty of insurrection in a court of law for any events related to January 6th? Because that hasn't happened either. But somehow he incited insurrection that nobody ever committed. That's how he's a grave insurrectionist. Surely this will renew the call for term limits for SCOTUS. I hit the wrong bell, but you'll take it. What are your thoughts on that as a lawyer? Nick convinced me to be against them. I have friends that are for them simply due to age of justices. Term limits for justices. I need to think about it. It's an interesting question. I mean, I would give them lengthy terms. I'd give them 20 years. It wouldn't be 12 years because the confirmation process is so unwieldy. But I need to think about that. Sick of RNC not trying in California's senator race. Yeah, I feel you on that, Allegan. Look, I hope Garvey wins. I'm just saying, Schiff has a huge war chest, a really huge war chest. Let's go forward here.
That's where we start today with some of our most favorite experts and friends.
Most favorite
investigator for the January 6th Select Committee, Tim Hafey's back with us. He testified in the Colorado case when it was in front of the state's court.
Tim Hafey.
Senior editor for Slate and host of the Amicus podcast, Dahlia Lithwick, is back with us.
Oh, a Slate editor. Oh, this is going to be insightful.
With me at the table, once again, former top official at the Department of Justice and MSNBC legal analyst, Andrew Weissman's here.
So bad. It's just like the state of confusion that he's constantly his brain is just constantly wrapped in. And no exception tonight.
And Princeton University professor and distinguished political scholar Eddie Glaude is at the table. So
not a lawyer, but we needed to have a black dude here.
Nice to see you, my friends. Let me start with the what of it. Andrew Weissman with you. What did the Supreme Court say and do today?
So they did a lot more than we thought they would do. Everyone after the oral argument thought that Trump would be allowed to be on the ballot in Colorado and frankly any.
Yeah, you all said that after you heard oral arguments in SCOTUS. I was saying it before there were oral arguments in SCOTUS. In fact, before there were oral arguments in SCOTUS, before anyone said anything, I said this decision was so bad, so empty, so twisted in knots that it will not simply be 6-3, but it'll be at least 7-2. Wouldn't be surprised that 8-1 and 9-0 is not off the table. That's what I said before oral arguments. He's about to say, well, ever since oral arguments, we all saw that, that Trump was probably going to win here.
The other states.
And just explain why we knew that, why we thought that.
Because the argument, a lot of times people say you really can't tell from an argument. Here, there was just no friendly question. And
no friendly question because there was no logic behind any of this, ever.
You had no friendly question. You had a legitimate argument. And you had sort of the atmospherics of the court being, we don't want to be the ones deciding this.
No. The atmospherics of the court being, are you out of your friggin' mind? Are you out of your friggin' mind? That's basically what it was, that a state could just make the call on this. That's what all of them were basically saying, that this doesn't seem to make any sense. None of this makes any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
The reason they went further, and the reason this is a 5-4 decision,
break it down for us. Break it down for us, Andrew.
Is where it sort of went to. Everyone agreed he can be on the ballot in Colorado and that the states cannot decide this. The reason it's 5-4, and notably the men versus the women, which is
not notable at all. Really not notable unless you're trying to like hate on women. Not notable at all. Like seriously. Not even remotely notable. Because Breyer retired, so that's why. Because Breyer would have been with the liberals. Notably, it's not even remotely. It's like I'm. Oh my God!
It's just a remarkable split.
No, it's not remarkable. It's not. You're the only one who would like notice that. You have to be like crazy weird into intersectionalities to like be like, oh, it's the men versus the women. It's the battle of the sexes. SCOTUS is all about the battle of the sexes. This is me giving you legal and political insight by telling you that now SCOTUS has become the battle of the sexes.
With Amy Coney Barrett joining the three so-called liberal justices, was that
she didn't join them. She didn't join them. No. She basically said, stop fighting kids. That's what she said.
They said this applies not just to the presidency, but all federal.
In fact, I'm going to pull this up because I saw this lingering out here. TextVet saying, Amy Coney Barrett, this really made me sick with her comments. Right, justifiably so. Justifiably. She blatantly states her remarks are political because she thinks it's her duty to calm people, not interpret law. I hate to sound like a Branko. Like, I think you're trying to say Branko, but women justices look bad. Yeah. If you're going to make this about women, it's really just hating on women because they look terrible. I'll break that down for you tomorrow when I'm going to be streaming, not on YouTube, not on Rumble. If you want to find me, you're going to sign up at lawgic.locals.com. SCOTUS is and it's free. You'll follow me. You'll get completely free notifications, completely free access. You won't need a code from me. It's something anyone can log into, but just it's part of a deal that I'm signing. SCOTUS is the ballast of the ship, no term limits. Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that. TextVet, and I second Uncivil Law's recommendation, 18-year term on rotation, new justice every 2 years. I had to think it through, but on face sounds really good. It's interesting. I need to think about that too. No term limits for SCOTUS, maybe an age limit, or better, a periodic cognitive test after 65. Probably unconstitutional. It does sound like it's ageism. But regarding SCOTUS term limits, imagine the political pressure surrounding a POTUS election with a guarantee. I also don't think that any test that they give, they'll cheat. Whoever it is would just cheat. It's like, come on, we can't even get Biden to fail a cognitive test. So I don't know that that's going to be actually pragmatically effective. Regarding SCOTUS term limits, imagine the political pressure surrounding a POTUS election with a guaranteed multiple number of seats turnover is upcoming. Yeah, that's what I'm a little concerned about. Guys, if this guy, a former Fed prosecutor, is on MSC but will deny DOJ and deep state has been politicized by the left. He's a loony. He's look at him. He makes Woody Allen look like a good dad. There's something weird here. All right. And yeah, I know. Don't say it. I don't want to hear it. I know. Let's go, Andrew.
Federal office holders. Technically, what was before them was just the president. But more than that, the big sort of 5-4 split.
From this angle, you can actually see Fredo Corleone right here. You see Fredo Corleone, right? Am I wrong? Is that not Fredo Corleone right there? You can say, come on, Nicole. I'm smart. Why does Dad give you all the best work? I'm smart. This is Fredo Corleone. This is totally. You can't tell me otherwise. It's totally Fredo Corleone. I'm sorry, I lost track of what he was saying.
Before them was just the president. But more than that, the big sort of 5-4 split was that the majority said only, it's not that the states can't do it, it's that only Congress can do it. So you're picking the one institution that is completely dysfunctional and isn't going to do it. So if you want to, the big picture, you want to read this?
The point is that Congress has to get together, get their butts together and pass a law. That's as to like how this thing would be structured, because Constitution says they're the ones who write the laws. That's kind of how we got here. They're basically following the Constitution. It's a novel thing. It's not that every person would be decided by Congress. It's that Congress has to set ground rules. They used to have ground rules. They eliminated them. You still want to use this section of the Constitution and not consider it to be dead like everyone thought, I don't know, 70, 80, 90 years ago? You want to consider it to actually still be something that's relevant in the 21st century? Well, Congress, go ahead, write a law. Tell us how it should be applied. That's essentially what they said.
This provision out of the Constitution, the only way to do it is to say Congress has to enact legislation to implement Section 3. No room, as you pointed out, for the courts, the federal courts to step in. That's the part where Amy Coney Barrett said, like, why do we need to reach that?
That's not what she said. She said, stop fighting. Why can't we just have unanimity here? Americans, take heart in the fact that this is a 9-0 decision. That's what Amy Coney Barrett said. Did you read it? It was like all one page.
Sort of needlessly inflaming in a political year.
Or she was saying that the left was inflaming, if it depends on how you read it. But you want to read it that way.
The issue, when our job in the court should be to try to just decide this issue and lower the volume.
Lowering the volume by not weighing in, Tim Hafey, on whether he is or is not an insurrectionist?
Because that's not relevant. This is the stupidest thing in the world. This is misinformation right here. This is trying to gaslight their audience and to say what they're trying to do is a wink to their audience that that they know he's an insurrectionist and they just don't want to weigh in on it. They know, everyone really, really knows what's going on here. Everyone knows he's an insurrectionist, but they're trying so hard to protect him that they won't even weigh in on that. That's what she's telling her stupid, ignorant, moronic audience. It's gaslighting. As if, yeah, that's where Sotomayor is at, right? That's where Sotomayor is at, that she's trying to cover up for Trump's insurrection. That's where she's at. That's where Lenny Kagan's at. She's also trying to cover up for Trump's insurrection. Is that where Tina Jackson is at? She's trying to cover up for Trump's insurrection. I don't think so. But it's like that's how they'll gaslight their audience.
Yeah, it doesn't touch the core facts, Nicole. The Supreme Court decides questions.
No one thought it would. Even when I said be 7-2-8-1, I said the least likely thing we'll hear from this court is on the issue as to whether or not he's an insurrectionist. It is almost impossible because there's no reason for them to get there. There's so many issues that they would have to get to before they get there. I was like, it's going to be 7-2, and they're never going to get anywhere near insurrection. He's making like this is just like, wow.
Questions of law, not questions of fact. They, as Andrew just explained, found that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment cannot be invoked by a state government. It has to be invoked by Congress. Some of the justices went further and said it'll take actual enabling legislation. But what America should take away from this is that that's a question of law, not a question of fact. The Supreme Court didn't find that Colorado was wrong in its finding that the former president engaged in insurrection. They actually found that he did.
No, the Supreme Court did not find that. They did not find that. Unless you're trying to say the Colorado court found that he did, which who cares?
Several states have similarly found, much as our committee recommended. And those are the allegations, the factual allegations that are going to come before federal juries, barring Supreme Court ruling on an immunity question down the road. So it's a victory for the president because it keeps him on the ballot. But again, it just doesn't touch really the core issue here was whether or not.
It's not at all the core issue, because it's, from a legal perspective, which the Supreme Court cares about, this was not an issue at all. It was the first issue that they were pounding the petitioners about is, aren't we going to have 50 different decisions if we do this? Aren't we going to have 50 different findings, and whose yardstick is right? And how do you have a federal election this way? Who and does it make any sense to all of a sudden think that after the North won a civil war and was trying to strip power from individual states, that they would grant a new power to the states, that they should have the ability to determine the outcome of a presidential election standing alone? If Georgia wanted to, they could be like, "Oh, we don't like that. We don't like Lincoln. We'll take him off." I mean, if he had survived. I mean, it was passed after he would have been assassinated. But they could basically take off whoever they wanted. Whoever they wanted to get off. They wanted to get Grant off. Oh, we'll take Grant off. We consider him an insurrectionist. We'll take him off. According to Tim Heaphy here, who's all supportive of the 14th Amendment, yeah, Georgia, South Carolina, they all could have said, no, Grant's not on the ballot. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's probably what the purpose of this amendment was. So Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, that they could all basically knock Grant off the ballot altogether. Yeah. I somehow that's not my read. It's your read. No, it's not my read. Let me see if there was some other idiots here. I didn't want this one. This is the idiot I wanted. Judge Lawgic. This is a clip that he had said that he had left earlier.
Different legal analysis.
It is not necessary in order for the former president to be disqualified, or for any other person who comes within the ambit of Section 3 to be disqualified, that he or she have been convicted of an insurrection or rebellion, nor is it necessary that the Congress of the United States have found that the former president or any other person have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the Constitution of the United States. That's what we call in constitutional law the self-executing character, if you will.
If you're watching closely, yes, you can, and you're looking at his left ear there, you can see his brain melting out, just sort of dripping down onto his collar there.
Of Section 3. It does not require a congressional finding, and it does not require criminal conviction. No
criminal conviction, no findings, no nothing. We could just label someone an insurrectionist. That's how the law obviously works, according to Judge Lawgic. Knowledgeable, scholarly Judge Lawgic, who they refer to as conservative Judge Lawgic, deeply conservative Judge Lawgic. Unbelievable. But that's enough of those clips there. I'm done with that. I just wanted to share with you some of the craziness that the left is feeling right now. This guy took the cake. Well, before I get to him, let me TextFed says this guy looks like Robert Carradine on Revenge of the Nerds. Oh, I see that. Yeah, I see that too. If he was older, although he is now, you know what I mean. Do that. Jamie Raskin is saying Congress will pass legislation to keep Trump off ballots. Will this pass? No. No way. No how. Well, Congress is going to pass legislation. No. They're also going to pass legislation that says that the Democrats already won the 2024 election. No, Sandra, don't worry about it. It's not happening. Looks like Milhouse. Oh, I see that too. That's not bad, Dennis. Congress did pass a law. It is insurrection. Act already disqualifies you for office. Yeah, it's 2383. Yeah, that's correct. Mr. E409. That's a new name. Member for 10 months. The MS stands for misinformation status. No, that makes sense, actually. Would an impeachment removal from office fulfill a congressional act? Yeah, it would. I mean, it wouldn't be a congressional act. The Supreme Court meant a new congressional act in order to give power to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. This is already an existing impeachment is already an existing disqualification. 18 U.S.C. 2383, rebellion or insurrection disqualify you for any office on the United States. They could have charged Trump with this. They could have, because he committed insurrection. He committed insurrection. Why didn't they? I didn't see too many mentions of the term officer in this ruling. Yeah, I know. That's part of what I'm going to be calling out tomorrow. I'm going to be calling that out tomorrow when I review this in depth. I want to share with you this, because this guy, this is actually when he heard that. This is his reaction a couple of days ago. I don't want to mislead any of you. This is something that this guy, when he heard that the Supreme Court was granted cert to Trump on the issue of immunity a few days ago, he dropped this. And this was just too delicious for me to keep back from you guys.
The justice system in this country sucks because there's nobody in the justice system that has a fucking backbone that can stand up to this son of a bitch. Garland waited 1.5 years.
I feel guilty. I feel guilty laughing only because he's old. But yeah, I just picturing like a little boy stamping his foot, and he just never grew up. Maybe he's like Benjamin Buttons. Maybe he's really 17. I don't know. He talks like a teenager. Justice Department in this country sucks.
And I'd be willing to bet when Joe Biden became president, he told Garland after he made him AG, "You leave Trump alone because
really,
we don't need the political bullshit."
I'd be willing to bet that. Oh my gosh. You're ready to give political commentary on MSNBC, sir. You're ready to give political commentary on MSNBC. Oh my God, with that kind of insights, I'd be willing to bet that Biden told Garland to leave Trump alone. But Garland just kept on going. My God. I know that some of you are nervous when you watch this. Rest assured, by all measurable yardsticks through video, he does not get a stroke at any point during this entire tirade.
Now you can get fucking pissed all you goddamn well want to, but that's the fucking goddamn truth. And now the Supreme Court, his Supreme Court, let him walk. Because there's not going to be a criminal trial in 2024. Not in D.C., not in Georgia.
I agree with that. I don't think there's going to be any criminal trials this year. I don't think it's happening. Maybe in New York. The New York one's supposed to be at the end of this month. That one might happen. I don't know. We'll see.
And not here in Florida. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you another thing here. Like in Watergate, when Deep Throat told Bob Woodward, follow the money. Follow the fucking money in the Supreme Court.
Ooh. Yeah, that's what this is.
This country has gone from here to here.
I don't know why I think this is so funny. Does that make me a mean person that I think this is hilarious? Does that make me mean? I feel like it's not my shining moment, and I can't deny. I can't look away. I cannot look away from this dude. I can't look away. I mean, I never expected to see Leonard from Community going nuts about Trump. Oh my God, he lost weight though. Oh my God.
And it's all because of one fucking individual.
Who?
That thinks he's God Almighty himself.
Who?
And it's all because there's no backbone in this justice system in this goddamn country anymore.
Oh my God. I feel so bad that I'm laughing at this. I just think, oh my, you're so deranged. You're so deranged. Oh my God.
They can't stand up to him. They're afraid of him. Why? Why are they afraid of this son of a bitch? And now we're going to suffer. Because I guarantee you, and you're not going to like this, but that son of a bitch is going to win in November. You know why? Because we're going to let him. That's why.
Woo! Fire! Fire! I think that's the anti-good logic. I think that's who that is. That's the anti-good logic. No facial hair, espousing crazy theories, and just ranting, just letting it loose. He's the anti-good logic. So there you go. I have met my nemesis. I have my nemesis. And he's Leonard from Community. So I had to share that with you. Some of you have some thoughts on that? Some of you have some thoughts? We're good. I think we're good. Holy moly. Thank you, Jenny L. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. It's very generous of you. Appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Impeachment and conviction is necessary. That's what it seems like. Section 2383.7 diggers. 283.7 diggers decreed says dig faster. That's true. You need to dig faster. He's actually maybe I don't know. The boomers can't go quickly enough. Yeah. Well, my God, that was terrible. But the best of them all, the king of the crazies, as we wrap up this section here. The king of the crazies has to be this guy here. This guy is a loony. This guy is a loony. Keith Olbermann, Supreme Court has betrayed democracy. Its members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, have proved themselves inept at reading comprehension. And collectively, the court has shown itself to be corrupt and illegitimate. It must be dissolved. That's his answer. I lost. The court has to be dissolved. All of them gone into the ether. Snap them away. Where's Thanos where we need him? Oh my God, all of them thoroughly inept at reading comprehension. There's a term in X for when someone drops a post that has a whole bunch of likes, but the percentage of likes to comments and quote tweets isn't that great. The term they use is ratio. And what we're looking at over here is a guy who's been ratioed. When you get 6.9, 6,900, 34,000 comments to 9,100 likes. See, most people, when they like a comment and they want to comment and support you, they'll hit the like, they go like that, and then they hit the comment. When you see all those comments there, 34,000 comments, that's a whole bunch of folk who decided to explain to him just how stupid he was. When you see this over here, view quotes, and you get people like James Woods, no, this is a little too big for me. Vivek Ramaswamy weighing in on you. PSA 6 saying Supreme Court unanimously came decision on likes, so we should destroy it. There you go. Clint Russell, my friend Clint Russell. I don't know how it happened. This former Sports Center commentator is now the most unhinged political commentator in America. There you go. Father at MSNBC calling the Supreme Court be dissolved since they betrayed democracy, including Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson. Every bit as deranged as Olbermann is. They're just a little more behavioral. He's subtle about it, but they're 100% his spawn. And everyone's weighing in just about how this guy's a lunatic. They are so mad. They are so angry about this. Oh my God. And they're angry that it was unanimous. They're really angry it was unanimous. They love playing in and leaning in on the whole 5-4 or whatever, 3 liberals. They're trying that to like have some sort of saving grace here. But make no bones about it. This was dominance on the day he was supposed to be starting the trial, the first trial against Chuck in D.C. The day he was supposed to be squaring off against Jack Smith was March 4th. And on that very day, the Supreme Court, the day before Super Tuesday, says, hey, go on out and vote for Trump. And don't worry. A lot of people complaining about the timing. They say, oh, the timing here was designed to encourage people to vote for Trump in the primary. And then you want to know something? Damn Skippy. The people shouldn't be casting a vote wondering if they're wasting their vote. That's why. That's why they did it. That's why they rushed to get it in now. How dare you try to get him off in the first place is what they're essentially saying. This is funny, Riley Gaines. 9-0 constitutional standards. Democracy prevails. Cope and seethe. I won't be posting here anymore. That's what he wrote 6 months ago. Oh, my God. What a lunatic. What a lunatic. So there you go. The left is not happy. Tomorrow I'll probably share a few more lefty loonies, and I'm going to be doing that on my new platform, which I'll be dropping a link on Locals at goodlaunch.locals.com. The link will be free for you to access. The video will be free for you to access. You won't need any codes from me. You won't need codes from anyone. You just come in there. You sign up to goodlaunch.locals.com and just say follow. No one needs money. No one needs a credit card. And when you're following me, you'll get notifications when I'm breaking down the Supreme Court decision tomorrow. And you'll get a link to a brand new social media platform. It's not Rumble, not X, not YouTube, not a place that I've ever provided social media content in the past. I'm expecting that to be tomorrow. I'm also going to be streaming on March 6th. Why am I going to be streaming on March 6th? Oh, that's Fani Willis stuff. We're up to our Fani Willis portion of this. Up to our Fani Willis portion of tonight's coverage. Oh, sorry, get this. He turns on MSNBC and thinks he's watching news. Yeah, seriously. And Mary, don't step on my lawn. That's great. Brian Olenkamp, new member. Welcome to the following. You know the deal by now. If not, you're going to have to catch other. You'll see. You'll learn soon enough. I can't go through it right now. I got to get into Fani Willis. So I need to clarify because a lot of people are confused. About all these investigations into Fani Willis. I'm going to be talking about investigations into her. I'm going to be talking about evidence that's going to be presented against her. And I'm also going to be in two different proceedings, two separate proceedings. And that's what I need to clarify from you from the get-go. There are two completely separate investigations that the state of Georgia is conducting in looking into the illicit conduct of Fani Willis and trying to decide what punishment, if any, she should face. The one that we previously covered was an ethics committee hearing, which is still supposed to be on March 7th. That's supposed to be commencing on March 7th. I do anticipate that will be made publicly available and that I will stream it. That's supposed to be 10 a.m. on March 7th, which is Thursday. That's one investigation. Thursday. You'll get links for it. Again, goodlogic.locals.com. There is a completely separate investigation that is being conducted by the Georgia State Senate. So I think I made reference to this, but I don't know that I spent much time talking about the Georgia State Senate's investigation into Fani Willis. But it had a new development today. So let's go back in time to January 26th. January 26th, Georgia State Senate on Friday passed a resolution creating a special committee to investigate Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis amid allegations of an improper affair with her lead prosecutor in the 2020 election subversion case against former President Donald Trump. Resolution, which cleared the GOP-controlled Senate 30-19, allows the special committee to subpoena people and evidence while putting witnesses under oath for their testimonies. Now, all this is happening behind closed doors. At the end of its investigation, the committee will submit a report that will recommend any changes to either legislation or appropriations, which appropriations means that they can sap the money out of her if they were so inclined, according to State Senator Greg Dolezal, who introduced the resolution. Because appropriations, in case you're unfamiliar with government speak, means money. Money means how big a check that we write to you. This resolution is about an officer of the state of Georgia within a subdivision of the state of Georgia and how they're using state funds. Those all say on the Senate floor. This falls squarely within what we should be talking about and what we should be addressing. The allegations against Willis and Nathan Wade first surfaced in a 127-page court filing earlier this month by former Trump 2020 campaign official Mike Roman, and we know all about that. So we don't need to get into that. So that, the news on that broke today is this. Fani Willis saga takes a twist. Sources have confirmed this, and Phil Holloway, as a Georgia attorney, says Fani Willis saga takes on a new twist. Sources have confirmed that the Georgia Senate committee looking into the Fulton DA subpoena subpoenaed attorney Ashland Merchant to testify Wednesday, 3/6/24, meaning the day before her ethics committee hearing. They're going to be subpoenaing in a different investigation. The ethics committee is one branch of governance, and they specifically oversee attorneys and maintain their good standing in the state, right? That's their job, as opposed to the state Senate, which is an actual body of the governor of the Georgian government legislature. So they're the ones writing all the laws in general. Part of the laws they write is how much money everyone gets. So much like we see the federal government have these different committee hearings. So Georgia, back in January, created a committee specifically to examine the conduct of Fani Willis. That committee was formed. They've been engaging in an investigation that we don't know where it's at right now. We know nothing about the status of that investigation. We don't know how long that investigation is going to last. Investigation could take a month. It could take 6 months. We have no idea. Remember the Durham report, how long that took before it was a big fat nothing burger? We don't know how long this is going to take. No one knows how long this is going to take. So, and what the outcome of it will be. Certainly, absolutely, no one knows. But what's interesting is the hearing will be live streamed and is open to the public. This thing that's going to happen on March 6th is going to be live streamed. I will be live streaming this on March 6th. So I have back-to-back days of Fani Willis. March 6th, I'm going to be watching the testimony of Ashley Merchant. She's testifying on Wednesday, 3/6/24, about what she has learned about Fani Willis, because she never got on the stand. She made certain representations, but she wasn't coming in as a witness, because you can't play both roles of being representative for a defendant and also a witness. So that's why she never got on the stand and actually gave any sworn testimony that would be admissible in any sort of real format to create a record. However, in this context, where you have a Senate committee hearing and they're subpoenaing her, so she can testify before them and has a chance to tell her story about everything that went down with Bradley, which is presumably why they won her, because they could have just subpoenaed her records. In fact, I think he talks about that. This is more than a subpoena for records of Merchant's communications with Bradley, as previously announced. I would expect questioning to involve all relevant issues related to her dealings with Willis's office. Not just Willis's office, Phil. I would tell you it's going to relate to her dealings with Bradley and what Bradley said to her. So this way you can find out, what did you say to him? What did he say to you? How did that testimony, why did you think that he was going to be testifying one way and then he testified another way? And who in his office did you talk to? What about these other people who you seem to have talked to? Did you know anything about them? And I think they can ask her some questions, and I'm confident that she'll have good answers for them. And we can probably learn a lot about what her investigations revealed when she was preparing for this evidentiary hearing, or trying to get the court to grant an evidentiary hearing. So that will be on March 6th. I do plan on live streaming that. That I will be live streaming on YouTube and Rumble. But you'll get links for that also through Locals. All links about appearances are free on Locals. Just follow me there. You'll have free access to free links on anything I'm doing. All right. Here's the Georgia State Senate agenda notice. So here you go. Can you see this? You can see this. So meeting notice and agenda says the Senate Special Committee Investigation, Senator Greg Dolezal, 27th Vice Chairman, Senator John F. Kennedy, Senator Steve Gooch, Senator George Butler, Gloria Butler, etc., from Senator Bill Cowsert, 46th Chairman. Date, Wednesday, March 6, 2024. Time, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. on March 6th. Production documents pursuant to subpoena and sworn testimony from witness Ashley Merchant. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to that so we can know a lot more about what the heck she actually knows that perhaps didn't make it its way into evidence because she couldn't elicit questions that would be able to be answered due to issues with attorney-client privilege or things of that nature. So that's some of the stuff that I'm anticipating we should be able to learn from that. So that's a new wrinkle. And I'm sure Fani Willis, when she heard about that, was very, very excited to hear about that. I'm sure she's very pleased about that. Perhaps not, but yeah. But the other thing I want to talk to you about is a new filing that happened in the evidentiary hearing. And I'm going to talk to you about my thoughts as to what we can take from this filing, what we should anticipate the judge taking from this filing, if he even considers it. So let me just catch up here on a couple of bills. Used to hide insanity, now shouted on the net. Yeah, wasn't that guy funny? He was awesome. E. Hef, dear leader, can we get golden American flag tracksuits to wear in celebration of this day? In celebration of this day. Clona Steve Dream Killer says you need to get into Fani Willis. Get in line. I see what you did there. I see. That's funny. That's not bad. I see what you did. Getting into Fani Willis. I like it. I like it. Oh man, I meant to cover this. I didn't cover it yet. All right, we'll come back to it. That's fine. What we have here is a dirty Fanny, and the judge needs to remove the dirty, tainted meat from her, or whatever Joe said this week. It's such a perfect analogy. Oh my God, from that big refrigerator of hers, the big Fanny refrigerator. Such a perfect analogy. Oh my God, removing the rotting meat. Wayne Robinson, new YouTube member. Welcome aboard, William. Welcome aboard indeed. All right. So, before I finish up with this Senate thing, here's Senator Brandon Beach from a couple of weeks ago getting into it with getting chewed out by other members of the Senate who are not too happy about this Senate investigation. I thought this was funny, so let me share it with you.
I came before you a couple weeks ago to discuss Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade and their romantic relationship. Folks, after watching the hearings that unfolded last week, it has become abundantly clear that this case is prosecution for personal profit. One of the things I keep hearing about is conflict of interest. So I decided to pull out my Webster dictionary and look at what conflict of interest means. And I'm going to read you the definition.
I don't know what we get from this, but okay.
A conflict of interest refers to ethical problems that may arise between parties with a pre-existing relationship. He or she may not join with a client in business without making full disclosure of his or her potential conflicts, and he and she must avoid commingling funds. Ms. Willis' longtime friend stated the romantic relationship started in 2019, making it a pre-existing relationship, and there was definitely commingling of funds. I also decided to look up the definition of poor judgment, and let me read that to you. That a person has poor judgment means that this person made a poor decision after considering the information and context available. Poor judgment refers to the inability to make appropriate decisions. It is obvious Ms. Willis used poor judgment. One, she hired an attorney that was not qualified for the biggest case she has ever prosecuted. Two, she obviously was blind to invoices. Mr. Wade billed 24 hours in one day, and she approved the invoice.
Some of the worst billing I've ever seen in my life by a lawyer. The worst billing. Now, I cannot speak as to the type of what bills look like when they're regularly submitted to a government agency. Perhaps they're all as sloppy as Wade was. I can only judge based on my submission of billing records to any client or boss, because you have to, when you're working for someone, you need to create bills that they will then pass on to the client. And one of the first things that my boss told me was, what the hell is this crap? You can't just say research. You need to say what you were researching and for how long, what topics you were researching. You can't just say drafting for 2.5 hours. You have to say, were you drafting the memo of law? Were you drafting the affidavit? Were you drafting the affirmation? Were you editing it? You need to, were you reviewing it? Were you reviewing your notes? You need to, which notes were you reviewing? You need to be detailed. You can't just say 3 hours on the phone. You need to say who you were talking to, what topics you were discussing, sort of jar the client's memory. Remember this phone call we had as to whether or not there's a breach of contract with someone, at what stage is anticipated breach of contract or something of that nature? You were going to research that? That's where you sort of got to call back to them. This way they understand that. But this dude would just write work 24 hours. It's like, what? 24 hours on this day. So this is the response from the Democrat, David Lucas. He's very not happy with Mr. Beach. Very not happy with Mr. Beach. He's really upset.
I'm surprised that the senator from the 21st would have the mitigated gall and the audacity to keep bringing this subject matter up. You ain't said nothing about the man making the call to find me 11,000 votes. You didn't say nothing.
Because that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He said you don't have to go through all of the crap that they pulled, just enough of it till you get to 11,000 votes. That's what anyone who actually listened to the call heard. Then he's like, there's this issue. There's issues A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. You don't have to go through all 14 issues. Just keep going till you get me my 11,000 votes, and I'm happy. I'm okay with that. There's a lot more than 11,000 there. Just find me the 11,000. And they're like, then they're making as if he was asking Raffensperger to write out 11,000 votes. Classic leftist. You're gaslit. I think he really believes that. I think he's a gaslit old man.
About the man who raped a woman in the dressing room.
No, that did not happen. That did not happen. That never happened. No.
I got to pay all this money. Let's stop dealing with bedroom politics.
Yeah, ignorant old
fool. We got
fool.
more important things to deal with across this state.
What about the corruption? That's what they're dealing with. You're dealing with the corruption in your state. It's your DA who's dealing with national issues, and you should be asking her why she's doing that. Georgia's the only state which feels like it's their duty to sit here and try and engage in on the national level issues about the election. Pennsylvania never went down that road. Michigan never went down that road. Arizona never went down that road. Why does Georgia feel it's incumbent upon them to try and find RICO charges and all this other crap? So you shouldn't be yelling at your peer in the Georgia Senate. You should be angry at Fani Willis that she's got a backlog of cases going back to 2020, and she's dedicating all her resources that were never appropriated for this venture, and basically making a national spectacle out of herself because that's what she cares about more than justice. That's what you should be caring about. But instead, you're sitting here worrying about an alleged incident in a Bergendorf's and Goodman's from 40 years ago from some fluky, crazy woman making claims. I don't know. Who's the wrong one here? You tell me. You tell me, David. You tell me. All right. So that's where the Georgia State Senate's at. That's where they're at. In case you're wondering where they're at, that is where they're at. Pink is the new orange. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that, CA human. Pink is the new orange. Did I miss something? I don't even know. I'm so confused. Sorry. Why do we keep using Webster's dictionary for legal terms? At least pull out Black's Law. Yeah, they should pull out Black's Law dictionary. That is the official legal dictionary that at least is recognized by every court in this country. And I'm sure that Webster's doesn't have phrases in it like conflict of interest. So I don't know what the hell he's even talking about. They would have conflict and interest. They wouldn't have conflict of interest. I'm not familiar with Webster's. Am I wrong? Has Webster's been updated and now all of a sudden they have terms of art like conflict of interest? Because that was a little weird. That's why I said that's a little bit of a strange direction to go. Why don't you just go to the like actual law says about conflict of interest? That would be far more enlightening than what Webster's purportedly says. And I don't believe they actually do say, because they tend to be very fixated on individual words, not phrases. Now, Black Law Legal Dictionary will bring in phrases. So at least if he had cited there, I'd be like, okay, maybe. I don't know. It's completely off topic, but you're going to cover the Delphi murder. I'm curious what you think about the shadiness with the judge and the prosecution. The Delphi murder? Apparently it's not on the agenda. Indiana? I don't have it on my agenda, but I'll look at it. I'm expecting that March is going to be pretty busy. I keep getting all this Fanny stuff. I keep getting Fanny thrown in my face. It's so hard to say no. John Gordon says, surprised he didn't bill her for their fun time. Says who? We don't know. We really don't know. I actually suspect that he did. They never showed.
The justice system in this country sucks.
How did that happen? Oh my God. That was the old man. Did you hear the old man screaming in my head? I'm like, he's hunting me down. What was that? Oh my God. That was a boomer being haunted by a boomer. Oh my God. That was freaky. Yeah, but what I was getting at here, I think I closed that tab out now. What I was getting at was that I really believe that the reason we haven't seen the first 18 bills, they start from like bill number 19 through 24. I'm fairly confident that we don't see this stuff in 2022, 2021, because we're going to see that sometimes some of these dates overlap with Norwegian cruises and stuff like that. When I was trying to cross-reference the dates from his bills to flights that they had, I was like, we don't even have any bills from that month when they took a flight. How's that possible? That doesn't make no sense. So, yeah, they apparently went missing. Another sus element to this case. Jackal says, I wonder if these guys who make Willis's staggering incompetence about race realize they're essentially tying her monstrous dereliction of duty to her race and what that implies. I wonder if these guys who make Willis's staggering incompetence about race realize they're essentially tying her monstrous dereliction of duty to her race and what that implies. I don't see what you're saying, that old dude, that's what he was saying? I'm a little confused. I'm not going to get a little confused. Anna P says, Is Senator Lucas stable cognitively functioning? Can he be sued for defamation for saying he raped a woman in the fitting room? By and large, there tends to be insulation from when you're a politician. I know in federal Congress it works like this. I don't know if it works like this, that he can retain that protection that we say that there's an immunity. There's like a congressional immunity that when you say something on the floor of Congress, you cannot be sued for defamation for that. Now, I don't know if that attaches to with respect to individuals who might be defamed. I'm not sure about that. I assume that it does. Rather than just your pure congressman. That's one thing. But the second thing is, I don't know if this on a state level, they have the power to strip Trump from claiming defamation. But I do know that normally there is some sort of privilege that attaches when you're speaking in some sort of congressional setting. It would be a very interesting question to find out. I'm sure it's not the first time this has happened, that someone has been defamed by someone on a state legislative floor. So I'm sort of curious about that. I had the exact same thought as you. The first thing I was thinking is that's defamation. But then there tends to be privilege that attaches there. But I'm like, can Georgia give a privilege to its own senators that they're not going to be held liable for defamation? What if Trump sues him in New York or in Florida where he is? He's like, look, you can't go around defaming me. I don't care where you are. Would he have immunity from that? I don't know that he would. I don't know. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting legal question you're asking. I was thinking, I had the exact same question. I just went back and forth on that. Like, how does Georgia have the jurisdiction to strip Trump of its right to sue someone? I can understand the federal government stripping someone of the right to sue a federal congressman, congresswoman who engages in defamation and say that it's part of their duties and they're fulfilling of their duties. So there I can understand that there's a certain privilege that attaches there. It's a little harder to understand how an individual state would have that right, particularly if the defamed victim, the potential plaintiff, is not even a resident of the state. It's an interesting question. Oh my, that's David Lucas' father. He's a roast comedian that was regular on the Kill Tony podcast and has wild roast battles with the host. Is he really? Are you serious or are you making a joke? Doing it in Georgia, they can use their race card. Yeah, well, apparently. Fanny's pink dress, orange gel jumper. Now, that's what you meant when you said pink is the new orange. I like it. Okay. Now, I'm sorry. That just went right over my head. Right over my head. All right. Sorry. With all this extra work, maybe move your PC to the office so Lawgic can sleep. She gave up sleeping in here. Add it to your soundboard. Add what to my soundboard? There's a lot. I don't even know what I would add. Oh, that guy screaming in the background. That's not bad. That's not a bad idea, nobody. I like that. I'm saying use left-door logic. Every time they make a borderline treason a race issue, they basically tie a character to a race. Oh, 100%. 100%. I want to get into this proposed testimony that was e-filed in the evidentiary hearing case. Well, it's really the Trump indictment case, which has the evidentiary hearing. There was a new filing that was dropped today by the attorney for David James Schaefer, one of Trump's co-defendants in this case here, where he wants to see, much like Trump and Michael Roman, that he too wants to see Fani Willis and Nathan Wade removed. And he has new evidence to present in a potential affidavit. So let's see what we got here. Let's break down. What is he saying? What does it mean? How is the judge likely to take it? I'm going to break all this down for you right here and now. It's only 4 pages long, which is good because I don't want to spend a great deal of time analyzing a lot of legal words. So here we go. Only 4 pages long. Let's see. And I'll weigh in with you as to my thoughts as to what we should anticipate the judge doing with this. And I think a lot of people are very, very excited about it. And there are elements to be excited about, but I think some of the elements I think we're going to see probably not going to be very influential with the judge, and I'll explain to you why. State of Georgia versus David James Schaefer. Defendant David J. Schaefer files his notice of proposed testimony and respectfully submits to the court and the parties that in the event the evidence were reopened regarding the various motions to dismiss or disqualify DA for Fulton County Fani Willis and or Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade from the prosecution of his action, that Mr. Schaefer offer the testimony of attorney Cindy Lee Yeager, a co-chief deputy district attorney for Cobb County, Georgia District Attorney's Office. That is highly significant in the sense that, okay, now we're dealing with, like, here's a DA who's like ratting on, or a deputy DA or a co-chair, we call it co-chief deputy DA, ratting on Fani Willis. On Friday, March 1st, 2024, Ms. Yeager spoke via telephone with undersigned, meaning with the guy who signed this, who is, what's this guy's name? Craig Gillen. So he was one of the people who spent a lot of time popping up there and asking questions. So she spoke via telephone with Mr. Gillen, counsel for Mr. Schaefer, and Mr. Christopher Anulowitz, counsel for defendant Robert Cheeley. Following is a summary of proposed testimony which was provided by Ms. Yeager to counsel for Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Cheeley. So here's what she would testify about if you let her come in and testify. From in or around August 2023 through January of 2024, Ms. Yeager had numerous in-person and other conversations with attorney Terrence Bradley in which information relating to DA Willis and Mr. Wade was discussed. All right, that's a little weird, but okay. That's as this motion started building its way up, right? In the course of Mr. Bradley and Ms. Yeager's discussions, Mr. Bradley told Ms. Yeager the following. District Attorney Willis and Mr. Wade met during the 2019 Municipal Court Continuing Legal Education Conference. Wade began his romantic relationship with District Attorney Willis at or around this time. So, talk about your hearsays here. There's a whole bunch of hearsays that are happening here, which that definitely would be of concern to the judge. But so now, what we have here is Gillen is writing that Yeager would say that Willis would that Yeager would say that Bradley told Yeager that Willis told him about the relationship going back to 2019 municipal court. He began his romantic relationship with District Attorney Willis at or around this time, in around 2019, which is obviously long before the romance that purportedly first bloomed in March of 2022, if you believe the testimony of Wade and Willis. So it's like, no, it's not 2022. It might go back as early as 2019, but it's at least 2 more years, or it's 2 years old in 2022. Mr. Wade had definitely begun a romantic relationship with Miss Willis during the time that Miss Willis was running for DA in 2019 through 2020. So they were hot and heavy for years. And that's what this is what Yeager heard from Bradley, who presumably heard it from Wade. Bradley said that he had personal knowledge relationship between Wade and District Attorney Willis and include details regarding the use of Mr. Robin Yeager's apartment and other meetings prior to November 2021. So, point being, Bradley lied when he said, I don't remember, that he had plenty of personal knowledge. Which personal knowledge, by the way, when they talk about personal knowledge, it tends to it's implying things I witnessed rather than things he told me. So I witnessed them together. I witnessed them, jump in the convertible and say, woohoo, it's sexy time, and then drive off into the sunset, right? So he basically saw them carousing as lovers. That's essentially what Yeager is saying that she heard from Terrence Bradley. Mr. Bradley said that Mr. Wade personally prepared his own divorce complaint against his spouse, Ms. Jocelyn Wade, and told Mr. Bradley to sign the divorce filings and file them on Mr. Wade's behalf. Based upon this statement, it is Ms. Yeager's understanding that Mr. Bradley did not begin representing Mr. Wade until November of 2021, basically until he became the attorney of record when it was filed. But that basically Bradley never had any discussions with him. And never became his attorney to create this conflict of attorney-client privilege until the divorce was commenced on November 2nd, 2021. And at that point is the earliest that he became the attorney for Wade, and there was no attorney-client relationship preceding the filing of the divorce documents. So that's interesting. In around September 2023, Mr. Bradley was visiting Ms. Yeager in her office when Mr. Bradley received a telephone call. Ms. Yeager could hear that the caller was DA Willis. So she hears Willis saying, District Attorney Willis was calling Mr. Bradley in response to an article was published about how much money Mr. Wade's law partners have been paid in this case. Ms. Yeager heard DA Willis tell Mr. Bradley, they're coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us. This is a quote. They're coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us. Okay. Now, a lot of people are getting very excited by this. Well, so would you testify about? Yeager watched Mr. Bradley's testimony before the court, became concerned as a result of the fact that when Bradley testified on the witness stand was directly contrary to what Mr. Bradley had told Ms. Yeager in person. Therefore, in the event the court reopens the hearing to receive additional evidence as requested by the state and defendant former President Trump, Mr. Schaefer requests the defense be permitted to subpoena Ms. Yeager and present Ms. Yeager's testimony relating to the matters set forth herein. So, if you're going to be taking more evidence, we want to have a chance to put Yeager on the stand. A lot of people are taking this as if this is the smoking gun that is like going to do in Fani Willis. That's how a lot of people are taking this. Now, I'm going to tell you this. We talked about the Senate investigation. Is that something that could be significant? Yeah. Could there be significant results from that that could impact this? Yes. We talked about the ethics committee hearing. Could that reveal information which could, in theory, influence the judge, even though it's technically not supposed to? I say yes. Let's look at the little nuggets here that we're getting from Yeager and ask ourselves, A, do I think that the judge is going to let it in? And B, how much influence do I think this will have on him, assuming that he's not yet ready to slam Fani Willis? Okay, what do we got here? So first and foremost, as I said when I was reading this, we got a whole bunch of levels of hearsay. This is not just one level of hearsay. I guess if there's personal observances, so now it's Gillen, instead of having an affidavit from her, which would be more powerful if he actually had an affidavit from Yeager, if you submitted an affidavit from Yeager, which they could have submitted an affidavit from Yeager, and they didn't, it's just an affirmation. If you submit an affidavit from Yeager, I think this would be a lot stronger than simply an affirmation saying, I spoke to Yeager, and Yeager told me this, and Yeager told me that Bradley told her, that Wade told him. It's like there's so many different levels of hearsay that are happening here that the closer you can get to the source of origination, the stronger the credibility it would have in the eyes of the court. And I'm not simply saying Judge McAfee, that would be any court. You just don't like all these levels of hearsay because it sounds like a game of telephone. And we all know that the point of the game of telephone is that when you start with one message in the beginning, by the time it gets to the end, it can be a completely different thing here. And it just sounds like there's a lot of levels here. There's a lot of layers here. Okay, so that would be disconcerting as far as trust and the credibility here. And it's not to say that anyone willfully got anything wrong, but that's just what happens when people are talking and then relating it over again and then relating it over again and then relating it over again. It just, the story changes in ways that could be material. So you sort of would have concerns about that. I would be surprised if the judge does not have grave concerns about that. I think that Gillen could have done himself a favor if he had the capacity to get Yeager to sign an affidavit. This way you would just have Yeager swearing under oath. Bradley told me that he had personal observations. The reason that this is highly significant in this particular context is, what is Gillen asking for here? Gillen is saying to the court, I want you to reopen the evidence and let this woman take the stand, Cindy Lee Yeager, which, okay, she has presumably some added potential credibility as the chief deputy district attorney for Cobb County. She also doesn't have a stake in the case the way Fani and Nathan Wade have. So that's all nice for credibility. When she gets up there to say anything, it's going to be objection, hearsay, objection, hearsay, objection, hearsay. How do you know this information? I heard it from Bradley. How do you know? I heard it from Bradley. Now, when that happens, when they object hearsay, what the purpose would be purportedly, the way they would try and get beyond that hearsay issue, is that they would say, we're offering her for purposes of impeachment. Who's she impeaching? Well, let's think this through. Is she impeaching Fani Willis? Is she impeaching Nathan Wade? Answer is no, not really. I understand that what she's saying, the information ultimately would be impeaching them if we believe it, but that would still have the hearsay issue between Bradley and Yeager. So if you want to get past this hearsay issue, you have to be introducing her for the purposes of specifically impeaching the hearsay source, which is Bradley, which you can get her in that way, in theory, if the judge is so inclined to go through further evidence, which I tend to expect that he probably is reluctant to do at this juncture, only because I think he might feel like it's overkill and it's like, okay, I don't want to hear anymore. I'm tired of this case. I got other cases I got to start getting to here. It's not going to impact anything. Maybe he's already decided against Fani Willis. I don't know. Or if he hasn't decided against Fani Willis by now, he's probably thinking, I don't need more evidence that's potentially against her. But you also have to recognize that the credibility is an issue here. So now So she's going to basically be saying, I'm impeaching him with a prior. Gillen would put Yeager on the stand for the purposes of impeaching the testimony of Bradley. That Bradley said, I don't remember seeing anything. I don't remember when the relationship started. That was all a big fat lie. Now, there's an interesting thing about impeachment that I sort of want to walk you through here. And this is something that I think people tend to get confused when it comes to rules of evidence. When you offer someone for impeachment, that doesn't mean that the impeaching testimony is true. It just means don't believe what was testified to, because here are reasons to think that the person was full of crap. Right? That's essentially why we say it's not hearsay. It's almost like it's not an exception to hearsay. It's that it's not hearsay, because you're essentially trying to say, I mean, it is an exception to hearsay because it's an out-of-court statement that's being offered for the truth of the matter that's being asserted therein. But it's not really saying that this is true, that what I heard from this dude is true. It's simply saying, here are reasons for you to not believe what the person I'm impeaching said. So if Judge McAfee was to allow Yeager on this stand, and she was highly credible, which let's assume that she would be, he has to sort of account for that possibility. He's got to be thinking to himself when he's reading this, so I'll put her on the stand. Let's assume that she sounds like she's reading from the Gospels. She sounds completely credible. What will I know at that point? What I will know at that point is that Bradley was a big fat liar. I can use her testimony to basically say that his testimony was freaking full of lies. That's the extent of it. Now, what did he testify about? His testimony was, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't remember. So by the time Yeager is done, what we would really legally be allowed to extract from her testimony is that when he said, I don't remember, he was lying, which means he does remember. Now, would that present an opportunity for them to then recall Bradley again? Possibly, I don't know. But to just say that because Bradley told her something out of court and now she's impeaching that with this prior inconsistent statement, it doesn't now give truth to that statement. And that's a common mistake that people make. It doesn't make the original statements from Bradley to Yeager true. So all the testimony, it's not even really properly actually evidence of their truth. It's merely evidence that Bradley was lying when he was on the stand. Now, if he had actually said they did not have a relationship, and that was what was being refuted, arguably, if he said their relationship didn't start until March 2022, arguably refuting that with a prior inconsistent statement would go towards showing they did have a relationship before March of 2022. But he didn't take that stance. Instead, he walked like Switzerland and said, I don't remember. I don't know when he told me. I don't remember we had this conversation. I don't remember this. I don't remember that. So from a technical perspective, what she would be refuting is his claim that he does not remember, which would mean that now the judge, assuming he believes Yeager, would come to a conclusion that he did remember. Well, let me tell you something. The judge is probably there already. The judge knows, I don't believe anything that crap or lying sack of dog crap was saying on the stand. He clearly was hemming and hawing and afraid to, look anyone in the eye. He seemed so terrified when he was testifying. So I didn't believe him anyway. So you're going to impeach him? What's that going to do? That's not going to do anything. Okay. So if you're the defense counsel, you still want to get her on the stand. Because even though the judge is not supposed to be hearing this messages for the purposes of gleaning the truth of the matter, meaning that the relationship between Fani and Wade started all the way back in 2019 after the judicial conference, the likely chance is that he's likely to start believing it. So even though he's not supposed to be swallowing it, you sort of figure he probably would start believing it. or find, more likely to be the case if he actually heard her testify to this stuff. So, that being the case, even though he wouldn't be, from a legal theory perspective, allowed to take it that way, we all know that when you hear testimony like that, it's going to have some influence, and you're going to be like, yeah, come on, she's full of crap. Fani was full of crap. Wade was full of crap. A whole bunch of freaking lies. We know this relationship started all the way back in 2020 at the latest. So that's why you want to get her on the stand. It's because while there's the technical, reasons that you're hearing it don't really comport with helping you out for believing that Fani was lying. In reality, it's still, the bell is being rung and rung and rung and rung and rung. And it's sort of like when allowing someone we ignore hearsay and saying that Yeager is allowed to testify, despite the fact that it's hearsay, you're getting it in under this basis, but really you have a different objective. The basis is to impeach what Bradley was saying, but really you don't care about proving to the court that Bradley was lying when he said, I don't remember. Really, you want the judge to think, oh my God, this relationship was going on all the way back in 2019, 2020. So it's really not, you're really not trying to impeach Bradley as much as you want Yeager to be impeaching Willis and Wade, which he's technically not able to be. She's probably not impeaching. Now, someone could make a philosophical argument and try and say that she is impeaching them. But if she's impeaching them, her knowledge is coming from the hearsay from Bradley. You might say, why can't she just be impeaching them? Well, in that case, if you're going to look at how she's impeaching them, you have to ask, well, how do you know this to be true? Well, I know it to be true because Bradley told me. Well, that's classic hearsay. That's classic hearsay. Doesn't matter if he told you in attorney-client context or any other context. It's classic hearsay. Now, I can't use hearsay from Bradley to Yeager. I can't get Yeager on the stand and overcome the hearsay problem when it's looking to impeach Fani Willis, only to impeach the person who made the statement that you're going to be testifying about. Now, Georgia might have different rules of evidence which allow them to do that. I don't know the particular, I never studied laws of evidence in Georgia. I'm saying from a traditional perspective of American jurisprudence, that would not be a proper basis of overcoming hearsay. In which case now, so then you could still get her in under a theory of impeaching Bradley, but the judge is a very smart cookie, as I've said many times, and I think he would realize that you're only bringing this in here not to impeach Bradley. You don't care about impeaching Bradley. You just want me to hear her describing the relationship based on her hearsay source of Bradley. And that, I think he's not going to be very impressed with. Especially because it's not even like, here's the other thing also, it's not like you're adding new tidbits of information. If it would be like, yes, and that he saw them holding hands at this time, if you had more specific, detailed information, that would be something that's like a new wrinkle of information. That he drove them to some, first 1-year anniversary dinner in 2021, in early 2021. A whole surprise. Hey, surprise, Fani! It's the first anniversary of our relationship. That would be a new wrinkle. But there's no specific facts here that did not come up during the course of testimony. So it's just one more person in the he said, she said thing, if anything. Where now it's, one more person saying that Fani and Nathan are liars. So if you just want to tell the judge that there are more people out there who are saying they're liars, I think that you just submit an affidavit from Yeager and say, we want you to accept it. And the judge can be like, I'm not accepting it, but at least he sees her swearing to it rather than Terry Gilliam swearing to it. And that's far more powerful. Now, maybe Terry Gilliam couldn't here's another thing that the judge has to be concerned about. Here's another thing that the judge has to be very concerned about. You want me to open up the evidentiary record and she hasn't even put a sworn affidavit in here? How do I know that I'll grant your motion and say, okay, let's bring in Miss Yeager here, and she's going to get on the stand, and she's going to do a Bradley on us. Oh, son, she's going to look at Frankie Pantiangeli, or whatever the guy's name was, from The Godfather, and start pretending she doesn't remember what the hell you're talking about. If you had an affidavit from her, from Miss Yeager, then you can impeach her when she starts pretending, I don't remember telling you this. But you don't even have that. So that's why I think that absent an affidavit from Yeager, this is a relatively weak application. If you have that affidavit from Yeager, this takes on certainly a much more powerful force. And even then, there's certain issues. Because what you have basically is a whole bunch of hearsay. And what you have is this. You know, this little statement here. I mean, let's look at the things that are hearsay here. We have from in around August 2023 that she's saying that she had numerous in-person conversations with Attorney Terrence Bradley. That's not the hearsay problem. That Bradley told Yeager, everything Bradley told Yeager, that's hearsay. That they met in 2019 municipal court, we already know that. That's not anything new. We don't need you for that. That Wade began his romantic relationship with Fani Willis at around that time in 2019, that's hearsay. You know that from Bradley. How does Bradley know that? Bradley told you this. That Wade had definitively begun a romantic relationship with Willis during that time, that's hearsay. Again, the exception to impeachment, I don't see how that plays in to refute Fani or Nathan. That would just be refuting Bradley. And all Bradley said is, I don't remember. And Bradley said he had personal knowledge relationship. Yeah, that's great impeachment of Bradley. So now what? His personal knowledge about the details regarding the use of Robin Yertzy's apartment and other meetings prior to November 2021. Okay, that's great. That's great. And he'll get up there and say, like, well, I don't know what I told her a year ago. I don't remember it anymore. You asked me about it last week. I don't remember it anymore. I don't remember what I told her. That's one of the beauties of saying I don't remember. I don't remember what I said last week. You know, you could say that. Bradley stated that Mr. Wade personally prepared his own divorce complaint against his spouse. Here's another thing. Just because Wade prepared the divorce statements doesn't mean here's I'm not sure what this does. I understand you're trying to curtail the length of the attorney-client privilege, but even if you're trying to curtail the start date, commencement date of there being attorney-client privilege, just because Wade drafted his own papers, that doesn't mean that he didn't consult with him long before November 2021. And so this conclusional law saying it's her understanding Mr. Bradley did not begin representing Wade until November 2021. I don't know how you had that understanding. I don't know. Even if he wasn't the one who drafted the complaint. If there was consultations, the relationship starts. When there's consultations in anticipation of potentially hiring him as a divorce attorney, and that could have theoretically been 2015. I think that's a ridiculous stretch. I never agreed with that at all. I never liked that perspective. And by the way, I know a lot of what I'm saying here might be stuff you all don't like hearing. And I'm sorry if it's annoying you or it's vexing you that I'm not as enthused about this affidavit as a lot of other people are. I'm simply trying to be real with you as to what I have concerns that Judge McAfee will say and the legal foundations that he will root and the logic that he's likely to apply. I tend to find that a lot of things that when I'm looking at legal issues, he goes to a similar thought process that I feel like I go through. And I know that he's going to be critically analyzing intelligently and insightfully this affirmation from Mr. Gillen. So with that being the case, I have to be real with you as to what we should anticipate he's going to say when he reads this. So that's what I'm doing. And I know it's not a popular thing to do. It'd be very easy for me to be like, oh my God, there was no relationship to November 2021. Trust me, I'd much rather say that to you. Oh my God, he's going to call them in and there's going to be a whole, and we're going to get Yeager on the stand. It's very easy for me to be a homer and say crap like that, but I don't personally believe that to be the case. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd love to be wrong. But I'm citing all the different legal issues that are standing in the way of these defendants getting Yeager on the stand. Even the last thing here, they're coming after us. You don't even talk to them about anything about us. I don't even know what that means. I know a lot of people make a big deal about this statement. I don't know what that means. You don't need to talk to them anything about us. That could be that statement. I'm sure that we'll hear a body basically make the point. You don't need to talk that when Willis said you don't need to talk to them anything about us is if some newspaper calls and asks you about the nature of my relationship with you as the taint attorney for Fulton County, don't talk to them. You don't need to talk about us. It's got nothing to do with Nathan Wade even. That's how a body would take it. You don't know that that's not true. We all love, and that's why, like, I'm like, I'm sort of at a loss here trying to understand why everyone is like, oh my gosh, this is like a smoking gun. I'm like, I don't see the smoking gun here. I'm missing the smoking gun. Everyone's very, very excited about it. I'm like, I don't really see this as being a huge smoking gun. I see a lot of ways that there's problems with this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I know this is not going to make me popular, but I have to be real with you when I think that there are problems. And I'll tell you this, my perspective on this would change greatly, and maybe they will do this if they manage to get an affidavit from Yeager. Because the judge has to be concerned that he's going to put Yeager on the stand and she's going to do a whole recant 180 the way Bradley did. Because that's what happened. Ashley Merchant said, this is what Bradley's going to tell you. And Bradley was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember anything. So you think he wants to reopen testimony and then put Yeager on the stand and spend another day doing that with another attorney who gets too shy to actually say something in front of an open court in front of Fani Willis? You think he wants to do that? Now, if she writes in an affidavit, if Yeager herself writes an affidavit, swears to these facts, at least then we could start walking down the road of having reliance that, okay, here's this district attorney who's not going to admit that she's not going to refute her own affidavit and say I was committing perjury in an affidavit. But if you can't get Yeager to sign off on an affidavit, if I was a judge, I would look at it and be like, you want this relief? Go get an affidavit from Yeager, and then I'll start thinking about it. But I don't want to waste another day of trial where you're going to sit here and I'm going to worry that Yeager's going to come in here and then she's going to cower when Fani Willis walks in the room and be like, I don't remember anything, the same way Bradley did. So yeah, until you can do that, till she writes something in her own words and swears to it in writing, that if she starts saying, I don't remember anything, you can show it to her and be like, you swore to this in an affidavit. That's the power of an affidavit. That's what an affidavit does in order to sort of change the stakes. If she signs an affidavit, she knows she can't get away from that on the stand. She can't start giving a whole different version. So that's why if I was Judge McAfee, I would be like, I'm not giving any relief until I see an affidavit from the person. Because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm an idiot if I put her on the stand. Waste another day when, for all I know, she's just going to cower. You all don't want me to believe that Bradley changed his mind when he got in the courtroom. He's all willing to collaborate with you, which I personally, I'm telling you right now, I believe he was willing to collaborate, but he was too much of a coward to stick his neck on the line in front and have the whole world see him stick his neck out there. So I don't know what the Yeager might be the same thing. Maybe she's going to back out also. We don't know. If she signs an affidavit, she can't back out anymore because that affidavit will be thrown in her face. And you swore that this is true. What are you saying you don't remember now? What are you saying it's not true? So that would be the start. That would be the start of considering it. And then even she put an affidavit. I have all the other legal issues that I raised earlier. And I think those legitimate legal issues. And like I said, I could be a homer. I could sit here telling you, oh my God, well, she's going to come in and testify. Great things are going to happen. Fani Willis going down. She's getting smoked, whatever. Look, I think she is going down. I already told you, I think that she's going to be removed from this case. I'm simply saying, I don't think that this testimony is going to get it. I don't think it's good. Not unless and until there's some affidavit. I don't think there's any chance of it getting it. I don't think there's any chance of it getting it. Well, who knows? He might say, look, you all want to throw in your evidence, throw whatever evidence you want, and I'll give it whatever consideration I want, but I'm not having any more testimony. That's the only way I can see this getting it. They'd be like, look, state, you want to bring in your Napa guy, send me your affidavit, I'll read his affidavit. If you have something from Yeager, send me an affidavit from her, I'll read her affidavit, and I'm bringing the phone records. And I'll give it whatever consideration. I'll give each bit of evidence proper credibility and consideration as I deem appropriate. That could happen. That definitely could happen. Perhaps that's the best case scenario here for this new development. But anyhow, that being said, this was a phenomenal day. Even if I'm not as excited about this whole affirmation, this whole motion brought by Gillum, this was still a phenomenal day. Ashton, what do we have? What do we have walking out of this? We have 9-0 SCOTUS decision in favor of Trump, telling all those idiots who started talking about 14th Amendment, you were fools all along. But from the moment that Biden and Paulson came out with their stupid article saying we're constitutional scholars about the 14th Amendment, and the Supreme Court said, no, you ain't. All you had to do was read Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, and anyone who read that was way smarter than you stupid, ignorant constitutional scholar. Which is essentially what the Supreme Court said today. All 9 of them said that. All 9 of them. Read Section 5. It's really very easy. Read Section 5 and stop wasting our time. And, by the way, don't try going to federal court, because federal court, read Section 5. Don't try and make these stupid claims that you brought in state court and federal court. That's what they were cutting off. Doesn't matter who's bringing them, no matter which court you're bringing this to. No court can fix this for you. Read Section 5. Congress needs to help you out before we can even think about this. So, that is a phenomenal thing. That was a phenomenal thing. That it was 9-0 was phenomenal. Even though everyone wants to say it was 5-4, 5-3, whatever they want to stupidly say, it was 9-0 decision. Very few people thought that was even possible. Even possible. After I heard arguments, I was like, I'm pretty sure we're at 8-1 here. I just wasn't sure about Sotomayor going along. She was the one to hold out because she's so special. Special Sotomayor. Very special Sotomayor. That's the term. Very special Sotomayor. So that is amazing. The Georgia State Senate issuing a subpoena, giving us now an opportunity to hear Merchant testify under oath about what she knows about Fani Willis and conversations with Bradley and all that other stuff that she's going to throw out there at the Senate hearing. Amazing. Amazing. Can't wait to stream that. That's going to be Wednesday at 9 a.m. This coming Wednesday, March 6th, 9 a.m. I will be streaming that. So that is amazing. And even this motion here that came in here, even though I'm saying don't get all hot and bothered about it because there's a whole bunch of legal issues with it that we probably should consider, that we should expect that McAfee is going to find with this, because he's a very sharp cookie. He's a very smart lawyer. He seems very dedicated to following the law as it should be applied. And there's been rare occasion that I've disagreed with him on almost any finding he's had, whether it was for Trump or against Trump, for Fani or against Fani. Almost every single time I was like, yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right. So I have a lot of respect for the guy, a lot of respect for him. And his memory seems to be really strong also. So I have a lot of respect for him. Again, I don't know about his integrity. His integrity might suck and stink to high heaven. It might stink more than that rotting meat in Franny's fridge. But his intellect is sharp. And that's why I'm telling you, I don't think he's going to be very impressed with this motion in its present form. He might give it a little bit more credibility if, in fact, there's an action affidavit submitted from Cindy Yeager, the assistant deputy district attorney, whatever that she is. And then he'll take it for what it's worth. But I don't think there's going to be any more testimony. I'd be very surprised if he reopens for more testimony. Very, very surprised. At the same time, I think the positive of this motion is it just plants the seed in his mind. It has to plant the seed in his mind that here's someone else who's corroborating that Bradley was full of crap, and he knows all about the relationship, and everyone here knows that there's a relationship. And here's the other thing that's really, really important to my mind. What's really important is he's very worried about the smell test. He's very worried about the smell test of impropriety. So even if stuff doesn't make it on the record, he's fully cognizant of all the different stories coming out here, which basically show that Fani is a liar, that Fani's pants are on fire, that she washed her hair with bubble gum, and that she stuck it in the dryer. So there's a lot, and that the more the public clearly seems to believe that she is a liar, her pants are on fire, she washed her hair with bubble gum, and then put it in the dryer, the more he recognizes that is the public perspective of Fani Willis, the harder it is for him to reject this motion and allow Fani Willis to stay on the case. In fact, it becomes harder and harder for him to allow even the district attorney's office to stay on the case. So even if it doesn't get admitted, I do feel confident that it has an impact on him. So that's the positive of this motion. It's another opportunity to just laugh at Fani and be like, he's so lost. He's so lost. And I think she lost. That's my personal take. I think she lost. Let me get to chats and get on out of here. That was it. Frank Pentangeli. Thank you. Bebop Rocksteady says they will continue until morale improves. Well, that's good. No one can help morale, right? 100% true about roast comedian David Lucas. He has hot takes and based AF. He's on our side. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Triple hearsay. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. I don't think that Judge McAfee, given from what we've seen from him, is going to be very impressed with triple hearsay. Bradley was such a liability. Seems to be yapping to every woman in sight. I'd be interested to see a picture of Miss Yeager. Pog. Should we? That's a good question. Let's see if we can find. I agree with you, Bebop. I think that he was trying to make time with Ashley Merchant. Was it Cindy Lee Yeager? Was that how it? Her name was Cindy Lee Yeager, co-chief deputy district attorney. Is this it? Might be this. Right? Probably. She in Georgia? Yeah, Marietta, Georgia. That's gotta be her, right? I don't know. Does she qualify? Does she qualify as a hashtag PAWG? I don't know. First I thought it was this one. I was like, oh, that I'm sure he would be like. I don't know. Who can tell? Who can tell? Even if it's a dud, thanks for reading the filing, Joe. My pleasure. I know you specifically asked me to, and I think it was worthwhile. Thank you, Fanny Nathan. We get ad-free soap operas now. It's true. It's funny because it's true. Anna, Ronald would like me to tell you that Seamus told him that Dean was told by Parvati that Hagrid's looking for you. Basically, what this testimony is, I doubt Judge McAfee lets it in. Quote is from Harry Potter. Yeah. That's essentially what this is. Why not at least have her do it? I don't know why he didn't just prepare an affidavit from her. And here's, if I'm Judge McAfee, I'd be like, why didn't you have it? Unless she might not actually be willing to sign off on something like that, which means she's likely not going to testify to anything as damning as you're implying she'll say on the stand. If I could get past your hearsay issues. Well, thank you. 4D chess is a learned art. So does the left recognize their projection? No, they do not. No, they do not. We had a link to Old Man TDS ran from earlier. Yes. I'm glad you brought this up. What I decided I'm going to do is this. I decided that for my local paying subscribers, I'm going to try. I was critiqued that from some of the people who watch me afterwards. The critique I got is that they want me to incorporate links that I review on stream, that I should include links that they can review off stream without me. And I think that's actually a pretty good idea. So going forward, I'm not promising I'm going to get every link, but I am going to try and include those links for you to watch individually, at least on locals, at least paying members, certainly. Give you my source material. I have no problem providing my source material. I just got to remember to do it. And a lot of times when The other issue that I have is a lot of times when I'm going through stuff, as I'm finish it off, I'll sort of like let myself know I'm done with it by Xing it out. So I sort of need to then find that thing that I X'd out. So I closed out, especially when I started hearing those voices, I closed out all the things I had from Twitter that were open. So, but I'm gonna try. I'll try to dig that up. Clears court statements and leaves just his texts. Not sure what you're saying there. Clears court statements and leaves just his texts. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mama, for that's very kind of you. Frank Pentangeli. That was it. Didn't Bradley say he never communicated with Fani and never waited after 2022, but Fani calls him in September 23 to say they're coming after us. He said he never spoke to Wade, but he was a taint review lawyer for Willis. I don't know when that contract expired, so I don't know about that. He said he doesn't talk to Wade anymore. And I know yesterday we covered a waiter who was basically saying that ain't true. That ain't true. But
On the very same day.
But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, it's midnight. I think it's time for me to sort of tell you, hit your likes, hit your subscribes. It's time for you to get your stuff in gear. Start packing up. Start moving along. I missed some Real Patriots Party and Daniel. Keith Oman Society's moral compass. Joe Sanders. Oh, Keith, there you go again. Wow, that was a while ago. I apologize that I should have covered that a long time ago. Just sort of got, I can't believe I missed this. Big Poop says, Trio Oz and I bet Super Chats on the outcome of SCOTUS decision 9-0 versus anything else. Never been so happy to lose a bet. And Big Poop paid off $10 bet. Great job. I'm going to give you one of these, Big Poop. Just because I can. Trio says, we're totally watching everything, but don't scroll up. And then he also gives John Reb gives the Colorado courtroom Supreme Court gestures. This is pretty funny. Let me share this with you before I get out of here. This is pretty funny. That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. That's over in Locals. Goodlawgic.locals.com. You need to follow me there so you get links. Tomorrow, I'm going to be breaking down the decision from the Supreme Court, not the Colorado Supreme Court gestures, but from the actual Supreme Court, and go through their logic and let you know who it is that basically was full of crap in oral arguments, completely full of crap. Because there was one person there at the very least who was completely full of crap. But you're only going to find me. You're not going to find me on YouTube. You're not going to find me on Rumble. You're not going to find me on X. It's likely going to be covered on a new platform, which I'm about to get signed for. They're supposed to be sending me back the signature. And assuming that happens late tomorrow afternoon, I'll be going through that on a new platform. You will find out all that information for free, and where you can find that social media platform where I'll be for free, everything for free at goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com. Last comment of the night: given how far this ragtag crew of buffoons got with this scam, leads me to believe that there's smarter actors pulling similar stunts undetected. Probably, almost definitely. It's pretty logical. Good to see you, Reaver. It's been a while. Good to see my brother. All right. That's my show. That's everything. What else can I give you? I've given you all I got. I've given you everything I know. I don't really know anything else. So I'm going to send you on your merry way. Tomorrow, I'm also one more thing before I let you go. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to start my show early. That's the plan. The plan is going to start early because it's Super Tuesday, and I was very excited about basically covering that. So I'm going to send you all on over to my friend here. No, it's upcoming. I got no one to send you to. I would, but there's no one I can send you to. 24-hour birthday stream. All right, let me send you Camelot. He's got a 24-hour birthday show with guest Melanie Mack. There you go. Happy birthday. Please send Camelot my best. Until then, take care of yourselves. Always stay happy. Eat some bugs. And how do I get to your schedule? You to schedule Venmo checks. Oh, Haley. She did send me a Venmo. Eat the bugs. Venmo. Where were you? Haley, so I'm just catching up part two. 2 questions. Would the state be required to pay back the attorney fees if Fani is kicked off the case? No, definitely not. Then I got to pay back the attorney fees. You lose that. Good question, Haley. Second, does judge consider there's zero chance that she'll be able to offer a fair and impartial trial after this debacle? Well, she's supposed to be partial. She's supposed to be partial against the defendant. That's never considered an issue, so I don't think that'd be a problem. But thank you for the Venmo. Appreciate you. Sorry that it took me so long to get there. My apologies. Stay happy, eat the bugs, and as always, my friends, Godspeed.